When you're thinking about CAN, we can all agree that it's very much about being visible, right? Being vocal, being on the stages, talking about the next big activation, the next big idea, the next big innovation. We're here today to talk not about what's visible, but what isn't. So what goes into the leadership of running a company on a day-to-day basis, or a team or an org, and how you balance that with being human and authentic in the day-to-day, and making sure that you're showing up for your teams. You're showing them that they're seen and they matter, but you're not sacrificing or compromising on outcomes to get there. So I'm here today with Justine Feron, the Chief Strategy Officer at HAVAS New York.
Hi, everyone.
Stephanie Bleymaier, who leads growth, customer, and media marketing for Foot Locker. And Beverly Jackson, VP of Brand and Product Marketing at Zillow. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
So the title of this session is The Invisible Work of Leadership. What's one responsibility that you spend significant time on that your team probably doesn't realize is part of your job?
I can kick this one off. So I had this belief when I was young that were I ever to make it to the level I'm at now, I would, slough off all the day-to-day work and just spend all my time thinking about mission and vision and values, and discovered, this is my karmic retribution of sorts, that in fact, the truth of the matter is when you're a leader, everything is your business. And I am a strategist by trade, but there's a lot of stuff that's not strategic that is my business now. The new PTO policy is my business. The way we dress the room for a big client meeting is my business. The employee complaints about Nickelback in the bathroom, that really did happen, is my business. And we fixed it, sort of. But I think I perceive that I would lose some responsibilities and gain others, but I think it's more just like accretive, and you take on more and more as you go.
Yeah. I think one part that I maybe didn't think about was how much do you do blocking and tackling for the team to pave the way for them to be able to be effective at their job, right? So they don't see all the meetings, all the conversations that you're having to instill the trust from your cross-functional partners for them to then go do their job effectively. So part of it is the relationship building. Part of it is the meetings that you're in with getting people to trust that your team knows what they're doing so they can march forward. But I think the other big part is the human side of it, right? We've got big teams, a lot of people that want your attention, want to help to understand how they're going to grow. And so figuring out that balance of being able to be present for them and help them grow and get to know them as individuals, but then also, stay at the high enough level to break down the barriers and let them do their thing.
Yeah, I think for me, it is the amount of work I do to remove obstacles for them so that they don't have to deal with it. And so it's like I take on those fights for them. They don't necessarily see it. And then I think it's the advocating for them. So someone said to me, it's like, how do you want people to talk about you when you're in a room, when you're not in that room? And so I try to think about my leadership team that way. I do a lot of skip levels so that the people 2 and 3 levels down in the organization, I have at least 30 seconds of something that I can say about them that is non-transactional. They will never see it. They will never hear me do that. But being their advocate is something that they don't expect or anticipate or see, or they shouldn't have to, quite frankly.
That's great. Thank you. Each of you have led your organizations or your teams through a lot of change over the last few years, right? Whether it's AI disruptions, economic uncertainty, evolving workplace expectations, i.e. return to office. What's creating the most pressure for leaders today that wasn't there 5 years ago?
So we work in a cloud HQ environment. And so I live in Las Vegas. Part of my team lives in Chicago. One of my leaders lives in Seattle. And so one of the things that has been unlocked for us by being cloud HQ, it has allowed us to recruit talent, really good talent from all over the country. And so we're not restricted by geo. But what it also does is it makes it really difficult to build trust, empathy, and sort of coordination and collaboration. It makes it difficult to build that. And I wouldn't have anticipated that because that's my superpower, I think, building really strong teams. It requires a different muscle altogether when people are all scattered and you're trying to make decisions and you're trying to move fast. That one is just it's a solve that created a solve. And so I don't have we don't want to go back to the office thing. I have how do you not ever go back to an office, but continue to build teamwork?
Anchor people to an organization. It takes culture, and culture is best made in person.
Yeah, agreed. I think one thing that I've realized recently is when you think about the org structure and what jobs we need versus what jobs used to be. And I think challenging my team to think about that differently, right? When you think about, are you a channel manager or are you a campaign manager? Or are you what are those all jobs becoming? And how do you think about kind of restructuring the org so you can stay ahead of where things are going, and not getting people into roles that are going to change? But yeah, I think just the evolution of what jobs are with what we have at our hands today.
Which changes every day.
Every day.
Senior leaders, they're expected to project confidence, even in the face of uncertainty. And how do you navigate that without pretending to have it all together?
I work at an ad agency, and so there are these inevitable moments where you lose a client or you lose a pitch, and the old me, the me of 10 years ago, would go to get a drink or 8 drinks and have the giant post-loss bitch fest of they don't know what they're missing and we're better off without them. And there's a funny thing that happens when you grow enough that you can no longer do that in the same way. But also your people need you and they need you not to disappear. I think that nobody trusts a leader who's a rah-rah cheerleader when things are good. And then when stuff hits the skids, they're like a turtle in their shell and nowhere to be found. So I do think Sarah, who's my partner at HAVAS, has this sort of 1-2 punch that she does where she delivers the news if there is indeed she calls it a wobble. She's British, so it's charming coming from her. When there's a wobble, she tells people quickly, transparently, like a Band-Aid one is ripping off, in a tell it to you straight way. But the second part of the 1-2 punch is she then comes with a plan. Somebody needs to be the adult in the room. And even if the plan isn't fully formed, which it often isn't, to be honest, what it does is give people faith that there is somebody thinking about how we come back from this or recover or get stronger or don't just survive, but also thrive. And so I have stolen her 1-2 punch and now I use it in my job.
I love that. I think I always start with the why, right? I think the people want to know the why, and sometimes they don't like the answer to the why, but at least if you're clear on the why, you're transparent. And you can also let them know that maybe it's not how you like it to be, but that's how it is, right? Not everything is how we want it to be. And so having those transparent conversations, but the why is always the number one thing for me.
Yeah, I just don't profess to be the one with all the answers. I just don't. And so my team knows that I'm wildly ADHD. ADHD is my superpower. So they know that. And I lean into that level of chaos. But I'm always grounded in what the strategy is. We don't win them all. That's not how you ultimately survive and thrive and grow. You don't win every battle, but you learn from it and you adjust on the fly. But I just don't, my job is not to have all the answers. And we talk about excellence, not perfection.
That's great. Having a culture where you encourage people to bring really strong opinions and you are eager for those opinions to change your mind. Change it. What's something that you've become more comfortable saying no to as a leader in this day? And what has that unlocked for you?
Now in the vein of stealing other people's good advice, there's a woman named Bonnie Wan, who some of you may know. She used to be the CSO of Goodbee for a really long time. And she has this phrase that she uses, which is only do what only you can do. And I think about this all the time because I think there are some things that if I didn't do them, nobody would. If I couldn't do them, nobody could. And then there's a ton of things that actually somebody else should be doing or would be better suited for. And I try to disproportionately spend my time on the things that only I can do. And I do use that as a litmus test. If it's otherwise, I think we could spend probably our entire days putting out fires or dealing with sort of the day-to-day tasks, which some days I do, to be honest. But then other days I remember that there's my job, which is setting a vision and, advancing a positioning and building the incredibly important pitch deck. And if I don't do that because I'm so busy with the Nickelback bathroom fiasco, then
I want to know more about what happened to Nickelback in the bathroom.
We'll try and leave 3 minutes at the end.
What happened?
I'll tell you privately.
Okay. I almost got it out of her.
Amazing. Something else that we that brought up during our prep call related to the things that you say no to was a line that Sarah had that I loved: do, ditch, delegate.
Yeah.
And that really resonated as well. Kind of everything's in a bucket. It's like when you're cleaning out your garage.
Yeah.
It's toss, keep, donate.
Yeah.
But one of the big unlocks for me, I'm going to say the boogeyman word and then I'll never repeat it again. But it's been the true unlock for me. And I was so resistant. I was like, it belongs in products. Keep it out of the organization. Focus on the people. Tell the human story. Was AI.
Yeah.
And so it was my team that said, like, there's a bunch of stuff you do, Beverly, that like, let me show you how to like get that off your plate.
Yeah.
And then my team will do stuff like, let us write that for you and we'll just ghostwrite it for you and then you send it. And it's like under my signature, it means everything, but I don't have to write it. And they've learned to speak Beverly and help navigate what they do. And just like unlocking AI as a productivity tool, there's just a bunch of stuff I just don't do anymore.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't need my time.
Right.
Yeah. Smart. I think
Ditch
just
it all.
to add a little bit too is I think I've been taught that like a say-do ratio is super important. So what you say versus what you're going to do. And if you don't have the ability to say no, you can't have that ratio be at the right level for you to gain the trust that you need. So just thinking about your day in totality, but then also kind of what you have from your total bandwidth to be able to feel like you're committing to what you can actually get done.
Great. Employees today, we're finding that it's more important than ever. They want transparency, they want empathy, they want purpose from their leadership, but they also expect results. How do you balance being deeply human with your teams with still making tough business decisions? That's part of everyday life.
I mean, I'm making tough business decisions now while I'm here. And in the daytime, we're like drinking rosé and all of that. But like at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock tonight, I'll be on the phone with my team and on Zooms with my team from my room working on stuff. Like, and so I'm in it with them and I hear their voice. I value their input, and we don't do this. I don't do this. We do this.
Yeah.
It's sort of how my take on it. And so like, I don't expect them to do something that I wouldn't do myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lead by example.
Yep.
Kind of laddering into that. But I do think the human side of it, I think you can't get to a level of trust across the teams unless you know them as a human. And so taking a certain amount of time, like you mentioned earlier, right? If it's 30 seconds to be able to say, I know so-and-so is really good at this.
Yes.
It's knowing your team and also knowing then how to approach them so that the way that you speak to them is a way that they understand it and that they'll gravitate towards you as that leader as well.
Thank you. When you look back on leaders that you've had over the course of your career, was there a great leader who showed you what it looks like to show up in the way that you want to? What of their lessons stayed with you?
Yeah, I am, because I'm a strategist, I've until now only ever had white male British bosses, 3 of whom were named Mark, actually. And
Jeff or Jim?
But one of those Marks was kind of an extraordinary Mark. And he did the thing that I don't think I understood how valuable it was, because he was my boss when I was quite young. But there's a thing that can happen, I think, when people reach the top where they become disproportionately concerned with staying there. And there can be, a lot of politicking or credit hoarding or like, let the sun only shine on me. And Mark was very overtly basically training me to be better than him someday. He taught me everything that he knew unselfishly, completely generously. I think he had reached the point in his career where he understood that his legacy wouldn't be like selling a little bit more beer or getting people to open another checking account, but rather like the knowledge he instilled in others. And I work now, in addition to my day job, as a professor at Marist University in upstate New York, plug to Marist. And I do that in large part because of Mark, because he taught me at this sort of formative age that the like thing that will, I don't know, when you wake up in a cold sweat at 4 a.m. about the like choices you made in your life that got you here, the thing that will comfort you probably is the like knowledge you passed on and the people you mentored and all the generous things you did for them. And I don't think I would have known that if Mark hadn't done it for me.
I think we were talking about this backstage, and I have an equal great white guy who like platformed me, put me in difficult situations, cheered for me. But he wasn't just doing it for me. He was doing it for other women on our team. And now I look at where we all are, and we're all products of his leadership. And he did it so quietly, so effortlessly. It wasn't like, let me put a label on it and put a department around it. He just did that. And I and for me, my gym in that narrative put me in rooms, put me on stages, challenged me to do things that were hard and difficult and that, quite frankly, scared the shit out of me at the time, but did them. And I just have this very clear memory before an investor day pitch where my CMO was presenting and I was like, well, why do you need me? And he was like, because I need you. And I was like, I'm going to piss off my CMO. And he was like, you don't worry about that. Let me worry about that. And we were sitting in the room after rehearsal and I botched the rehearsal. Like I've spoken on stages around the world, but I messed this presentation up so bad. The clicker was out of sequence with all the stuff. And he came behind me in the green room, put his hands on my shoulders, rubbed my shoulders. And he said, I need you to do what I know is your magic and bring that. And there was a exhale that left my body and a calmness that came over me that allowed me to own a stage in front of the investment community that I wasn't prepared for. And quite frankly, had he not given me that confidence, singled me out and given me that confidence and platformed me, I'd have messed that up so damn bad. It would have been a mess.
I too have a white guy.
Yay for the white guys in the room.
And the fact that he's sitting in the front row, in the center, I've benefited from that same thing, pushing us forward, and it's been really, really wonderful. So I'm glad everyone here had one.
Do you know what's going to be the challenge?
Yeah.
So
The next one?
I'm not a white guy, not likely to be one in this lifetime. But like, how do we as women do that for other women? Do that for other white guy men on our team? My team is almost all my leadership team is almost all white men, and I want to be that person for them, regardless of who they are. And they should expect, they're like, I want them to tell the story someday about like, there was this old black lady who, well, not so old, but like
The best lasers.
who just like had my back and she pushed me into rooms that I didn't belong in and platformed me. I want that to be their story.
Yeah.
That's all we can hope from the leaders.
That's all we can hope for.
When, I guess, perfect segue, when people who have worked for you look back many years later as their time with you as a leader, what do you hope they remember? What do you hope they learned from watching how you lead?
I guess 3 things. One, I hope they say that I recognize their talent, even something they may not have known to be true about themselves, and nurtured it. I hope they'll think that the times that I was hard on them were worth it and made them better and more prepared for the next thing. I think maybe like above all else, and this is probably the stories I tell myself about my own life choices, but I hope that I give them some hope that marketing can be still like an interesting use of a life and like a fun way to spend your working time. I don't know. That's kind of it.
Yeah. I think I'll build off of that a little bit. Like, I think there is the ability to push people beyond where they think they can go and make them uncomfortable, but allow them to grow is a massive thing, right? So people that are like, oh, I can't do that. It's like, well, you're going to try and we're going to learn. We're going to get through it. I think the human side of it, I think I'm very transparent about what I do with my family, with all of that. And it shows that you can have both. You can have work, you can be successful at work, and you can have family. At least that's me. But also letting them know, like, if that's not what you want to do, you can figure out your balance of how you want to kind of run your life. But I also think the other part is like, I love what I do. I wake up every day really excited to go to my job and like solve problems. And I want people to feel that same way. So I'm always telling people, like, love is a very hard word, meaning like, but it's like, I want you to love your job. Like, you should wake up, be excited to go to work. And like, at the end of the day, be like, that was fun. And I know that sounds weird, but it's like, if this isn't where you are right now, you should find a new job.
Yes.
You should look for a new role that gets you excited and makes you want to wake up every day.
I love that. I want to love everything I do. I always think of myself as like a purpose-based leader. And so I want to do the boards I serve on, the work that I do. I want it to make the world a better place. And so like, if I can, through my role, help my team, my customers, my partners understand that housing is real and like, it's hard and affordability is real and inventory is real, but like you should have hope for that. Like that'll be a small part of that. And so like in my brand purpose, like living in that purpose because I believe so strongly in it. The other one is in the course of my career, almost 25 years, I realized that for all the cool jobs I've had, only once has someone ever reached back and said, I worked with you in this environment. You were awesome. And I'd love to bring you into this new environment. I have made it my business to bring people along with so as I climb, they climb. And so folks who sat out in front of my office in a cubicle are now sitting in their own offices. We at Cloud HQ, so they don't really have an office as their kitchen table, but like they in theory have an office and they have a platform. And I want them to remember that I invested in them, that I trusted in them when they could not, but I taught them how. And I want them to do that for someone else. Like I really do.
Oh, that's really good. I sometimes think about good leaders as like almost Pied Piper like characters. And if you are indeed that good, people will follow you. And then we can only do so much, but if you hire really well, then like your power is infinitely increased. So I think there is it, like, even selfishly it works.
Because that's the thing, right? First I was like, hey, nobody's ever come back to get me. And I realized that if someone had come back to get me, instead of me forging away, I never would have been able to go get those people. And that's way better for me. Way better.
Climb up the ladder, reach behind you, pull them up. So when you're looking and trying to identify the next class of leaders, what is it that you look for and what makes you optimistic about that incoming class?
I'll start. Curiosity. Yeah. I think that's the number one thing. People that naturally want to learn and understand, regardless of the space that you're in. I always tell my team, yes, I'm in marketing, but I need to know retail. So I need to know supply chain. I need to know merchandising because I need to be able to have the conversation in the language that they understand, right? And so being comfortable asking the questions when you maybe think it might be a dumb question, oftentimes lets other people get the answer that they needed that they weren't confident enough to raise their hand for. So I think that's number one.
I'm right there with you. And I talk about it as being intellectually curious as opposed to being just nosy AF. You just want to know.
Good, very good.
You just want to know stuff and you want to be in on the tea and on the gossip. Like, no. I need you to be intellectually curious about what our customers are facing, what our partners are challenged with. And then the other one that I do, because I think this is important to the future of marketing, especially somebody who's like in strategy. And like you said, like knowing what retail is where your money come from. The business, like follow the money. Like marketers who tell great stories but have zero idea of how we make money, how we ring cash registers are useless to me. I can get AI to write a good story or decent enough and then get the algorithm to, push it forward. What I'm looking for are people who understand that in service of the business.
I think the quality I look for, in addition to curiosity, even nosy curiosity, honestly, I'm good for all kinds of curiosity, is people who are intrinsically motivated. I think that there is a limit to I work hard because someone's watching, I work hard because you'll reward me, I work hard because you'll punish me if I don't. That shit runs out. But what I think really lasts is people who work hard because they have high taste levels and they want to meet those taste levels, or because they know what good looks like and they would be unable to live with themselves if they didn't meet that standard, even if no one else is watching, even if no one else cares, even if their boss would have been happy 3 rounds ago, but they know it's not as good as it can be. That quality is a tough quality to teach, or I haven't figured out exactly how to instill it in people. Yeah. I think almost everything else is teachable, but that quality of wanting to be great for yourself is hard and tremendously important.
Yeah. I think a part of that is also competitiveness. I'm a very competitive person. Same. And it's like that. I think that's what makes me wake up every day and be like, I got to do something and I'm going to beat my competitor or I'm going to do something better.
Someone said to me that like the view only changes if you're the lead dog. I'm not trying to spend my life watching somebody else's ass. I'm like you. And I feel like we've been making apologies for women leaders being competitive. Yeah. Like, no, I won't win.
Yeah, no, I'm winning. That's what my goal. I want to be second place.
Yeah.
She gets a trophy, but I don't want that trophy.
Right. You're never going to win by having to tell someone to work hard.
Exactly.
It just has to be who they are.
And they say, don't take it out of the kid, right? Like, as I talk about having younger kids and there's the real competitive ones and they're like, let it stay. Like, that'll go well in life later on. So
that's it from my end. Is there any last words that anyone would like to share? All right.
Stay cool.
Yeah.
Stay hydrated.
Yeah, stay hydrated.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.